We are now broadcasting. Okay. Hey, everyone. Star Trek, The Wrath of Khan is over and has been since 1982. But we are just getting started here on Live Long and Podcast. I'm Dave Mader, coming at you with Star Trek TV and movie reviews. We are here streaming live on our Facebook page at Live Long and Podcast. You may also be watching us on our YouTube channel or listening to us on our audio version. Welcome to all of you, present and future. Since Star Trek Picard has finished its first season and we're in a bit of a holding pattern waiting for Star Trek Discovery Season 3, we are covering the Star Trek movie series. We had our first review of Star Trek The Motion Picture, 1979, last week. This week, we're picking up with the second Star Trek film, The Wrath of Khan. And as mentioned, hit the big screens back in 1982. So let's talk about this movie. I'm joined by a fabulous panel today. Oh, what a panel do we have for Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. First and foremost, I'm joined today by my lovely wife, Jane. Say hello.
Hello.
Hey, Jane. Of course, in the bottom right-hand corner of your screens, the ever-salty Jody Simpson.
Salty.
We are...
Oh,
the salt shaker is here.
Woo!
The ever-incredulous Kevin Millard in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen.
Hello.
And joining us for the first time here on Live Long and Podcast, a friend of ours who we met through the Kevin Smith Ball Hockey League many years ago, and one of the funniest guys I know, Mike Dunn. How are you doing today, Mike?
Hello, I'm doing good. Hey, what happened? There's one camera went up.
No worries. And somewhere out there in cyberspace, Jeff Mader is going to be joining us on this live stream from the chat. He'll be asking some questions, sparking conversation, hopefully, with those covering us. And he'll be, jumping in here and there, hopefully, if he's awake. Okay, so let's talk about this film overall. I got to say, Jane and I watched this last night. I loved it. I think, especially in comparison to Star Trek 1, which we watched last week, this is like a masterpiece. But we might have
that's not hard.
We might have some hostile people around this film. Maybe they don't all share the same level.
Comparing the two is just crazy.
Yeah. So I like to go clockwise for whatever reason. So let's start with Jody. Jody.
You don't want to start with me, but anyway.
Okay. Well, you know what? Hey, let's start. Okay, then we'll start with Mike, since Mike.
I think we should.
Yeah, let's start with Mike. Okay, Mike Dunn. What did you think of this movie after rewatching it?
Well, I've watched it so many times. It's always been one of my favorites. The part with the worms going in Chekhov's ear just always creeps me out. But to compare it to the first one, it's like the first one just sucks. You can't even compare it to the first one because the first one is just so boring. But it's good. But after you watched it again, it's not the best one. But I don't know. I still enjoy it. It's part of my youth, so it's more nostalgic factor, I think.
Okay, Kevin, what were your thoughts?
I like this movie. There's a lot of good dialogue in this movie.
Sorry, Mike, what?
I think he's got a bit of a delay.
Yeah.
Not like a learning delay, like a...
Yeah, I got a really big...
I wasn't implying anything.
No, I got one of those too.
Yeah, maybe you can adjust your camera, I think, to broadcast at a lower quality if you're having any kind of connectivity issues. Right now, my network showing is strong, so I think.
Okay, yeah.
Strong as well. But anyway, all right. Well.
Okay, so we were with Kevin. Kevin,
I like this movie. Yeah, it's got a lot of good dialogue. There are some things I don't like about it, but all in all, it's pretty good. Ricardo Montalban steals the show in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
He's better than, like, they took, if you think about it though, they took and made this movie, which is really good, out of an episode that is pretty mediocre in the original series, and then just took it to the next level.
Yeah, and Jody, what are your high level thoughts going in?
This movie is nowhere as good as everybody makes it out to be. Oh, we lost somebody.
We lost Mike.
In my opinion, like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not an entertaining movie. It's just the movie itself is nowhere near as good. Everybody has rose-colored glasses on for this fucking movie. It is not nearly as good as some of the others in this franchise. It's certainly good based on what they had. When this came out, this looks like fucking. This is like award-winning Pulitzer Prize type shit compared to the first movie. The first movie is god awful, as anybody who watched the last episode of this show can definitely attest to. But overall, as I'm watching this movie, I decided to watch it from like a more critique type angle and not as a Star Trek fan. And all I learned from that, everything's moving all over the place.
Mike's trying to connect, and he.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, it is what it is. I don't get it. I don't get why everybody thinks this is like the most, like, number one. Yes, I do believe Khan is probably the star of this show, but his lines are god awful in this movie, just like they are in the show. The acting is way overdone in a lot of scenarios. There's a whole slew of shit, but I could spend an hour just talking myself. So my quick summary here is it's not bad for the second movie, for sure. Not as good as some of the other ones in the franchise, that's for sure.
Okay, I see Mike's trying to connect. I can't see his camera yet, but I see he's there. So we'll try to bring him back in here.
Okay.
All right, let's see. Oh, and there we go.
I'm like bouncing around like Pong.
Yeah. So let's see if his camera renders. Mike, can you hear us?
I guess not.
I think we have to have like a call-in show. We have to have like a switchboard. And now on the phone, Mike Dunn.
No,
We'll see. We'll see if he emerges here.
Mike Dunn is now Khan's arm.
He's now Khan's arm. He's like that one glove.
He's just that one glove. Yeah.
Oh, there he is.
Wow.
Mike, can you hear us? This is wild.
Is that a movie? Pat?
I can hear you, but my camera is, I don't know. I'm trying to change the quality, so it's not
It's at a lower quality.
so choppy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry about the choppy as long as we have you.
Yeah.
long as we
Okay,
have
there
you.
it is. No.
I find a lot of the time, though, Mike, the preview that you're seeing is not what the final product looks like, just so you know. So don't worry that hard about it.
Yeah, as long as we can all hear each other, that's the most
Yeah,
important.
as long as you can hear us and we can hear you, I think that's the main thing. Oh,
I can hear you, but it feels like I'm watching a video, and then you're responding like a minute later.
Oh.
big delay.
It could be your internet connection, I guess.
Just go with it.
Okay, we can. Okay,
We can hear you.
we can hear you. So just pipe up and let's speak to it. So yeah, there you are again. Okay, so let's talk to a few things. Let's talk about how this movie starts. First of all, we have
Kobayashi Maru.
Kobayashi Maru. Well, it starts with in the 23rd century, and we were watching the director's commentary for this. Apparently, Nicholas Meyer put that in because he thought his father wouldn't know when Star Trek is, so he had to clarify that Star Trek is in the future. We get a shot of Spock's ear because apparently that's what people think of Star Trek. They think of his pointy ears, and now the now famous Kobayashi Maru scenario.
Before that, we also had 3 minutes of fucking credits.
I know, it's crazy.
Well, I think
Yeah, always.
yeah.
3 minutes where nothing happens but a title animation. That's it.
And
you
some
get
stars.
James Horner's score.
Yay.
I always skip the credits. It's too long.
Yeah. Anyway.
No one
let's move
enjoyed the credits. No one enjoyed James Horner's score.
I did.
Well, of course you would, Jane.
I
But anyway,
like everything.
always supportive you are.
Mhm.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just I was gonna bring this up later, but the music of this movie is fantastic.
Yeah, I will give you that for sure.
James Horner went on to do Braveheart and a number of other scores, and maybe that classical like composure is not your style of music, but I think maybe the debate now is James Horner versus Jerry Goldsmith for the greatest music, and that's what I get out of those like 10-minute credit sequences. I just get to kind of listen to the music and the theme of the movie.
It's amazing. It's amazing, but I don't want to listen to a whole song before the movie starts.
Yeah,
I just
My
want a
point
movie.
exactly. It's a fucking movie. This isn't a symphony.
right.
It's like-
Like
That's
there's
what
been
you
other
do at the
movies.
end.
At least like when and I know it's like sacrilege to even compare it to Star Wars, but at least in Star Wars there's a fucking scrolling story going on. At least I got something to fucking do.
Yeah, there's stuff to read.
I don't know how many times they need to introduce me to the cast of Star
Like, I
Trek.
don't
Like
care
I don't
about all these
fucking know
people.
who these people are. Like, come on.
That's funny. I went and saw Star Trek the music into the symphony, and I also saw Star
I'm sure
Wars.
it's awesome.
I saw
Yeah.
Star Wars music too. And for Star Trek, they had nothing on the screen, but for Star Wars, they did movie clips. So that's funny that they carried that on to like live performances. So
Yeah,
Star,
no, for sure.
Star Trek, you're not supposed to be looking
But
at it.
but if you're going to something like that, Jane, you're expecting to listen to the music. Like that's the whole point. I didn't watch this movie to listen to 3 minutes of fucking music and them tell me who's in Star Trek.
Who was involved in it?
Mind
who
fucking
would
blown.
have the
Did you know
screenplay
that
and
fucking
who
Kirk
the
is in this?
executive producers are, and who cares?
Yeah.
But that's
Like,
the
you know what?
fan
I understand. People need to get credit for their work. Okay. I'm all for that. But it's like Star Wars, they don't actually put the credits at the beginning, which is fine. And that's how Lucas decided to do it. And that's all right. But like, it's 3 minutes. And as Mike said, it's like, I don't need to listen to the whole fucking song. Like it's
like
you know, at least show me, you know what? They could have did that and showed me the Enterprise. Well, at least I get something visual.
Yeah,
All right.
flying back and forth.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, oh, Dave's gone
Maybe
now.
he'll
I guess.
do-
Yeah, someone
I guess Dave. I guess Jane's
Yeah.
hosting.
Like, I don't like your
They're
opinion. I'm
going
leaving.
by.
Yeah, Dave's like, if you don't like the music, fuck you.
No, there's somebody with a weed whacker out there. I had to close the window.
I didn't even hear it.
Yeah, I get that. I have a question for everybody. As everybody here is older than me, and it will rub you. But who saw this movie in the theater like when it first came out?
I did at the
Yeah, you did.
Pretty sure I did.
Anybody else?
No.
I saw it when it hit
Oh.
home video.
No.
Mike? No. When you saw this the first time,
I was
Theaters,
young.
it's,
I
The
was
Voyage.
young. And it was probably because my brother wanted to go, to be honest.
Really?
But, yeah. Or, I don't know. I could be lying. I was young. But I feel like I did.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about a bit more about this movie. So we got the Kobayashi Maru scene, which I think is great, but it's all setting up with one of the main themes of this film is sort of getting older. Kirk's struggle with getting older and sort of, getting the reading glasses and sort of he's taken a desk job. He's an admiral now. He's gotten, he's not doing what his great purpose in life is. And yeah,
Just to be clear, you watched the director's cut, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yes.
I watched the normal release of the movie. Okay, so you're going to be talking about shit that not all of us watched.
Oh,
Just so you know,
Well, that's why I
Oh,
messaged
shit.
you last night, and I said,
no
"Which
one gives a
version are
fuck
we
about
gonna
the
watch?"
director's
Oh.
cut.
And you said you were going to watch whatever fucking version you
The
had.
one I had
recall.
is that one.
That's
So
what I did. and
I have the
know which
theatrical
one I
release. That's what I have.
I don't feel like. Do you feel like you saw extra scenes or anything watching the director's cut? I didn't feel like I saw anything new.
No,
Um,
I wouldn't say so.
No.
So you know what the
Hardly
biggest
a
problem I
difference
have?
at all.
Sorry, Mike.
I said there's barely a difference at all. There's
Yeah,
a,
no, that's
there's a
my
video on
understanding.
YouTube that actually shows the difference.
I should have
And
watched
it's like
that. I
barely
didn't.
noticeable, except for learning that one guy that dies is Scotty's nephew.
It's Scotty's nephew, which I knew that about anyway.
Oh, I knew. Yeah, I knew that. I didn't know that was the director.
So the thing that bothers me the most about the I always say the fucking name wrong.
just
Kobayashi
Explain it
Maru.
more.
Kobayashi Maru.
Kobayashi Maru. There you go. Is they make absolutely no attempt to hide that this is a simulation. Like none. They name the Enterprise, okay, which wouldn't have made any difference in this scenario. But all the senior officers are on fucking deck. Why are they there? You're telling me that these guys have nothing else better to do for Starfleet to sit in a simulator and watch cadets fucking do this thing? Give me a
Also,
break.
why is
Like-
Bones there? He's not supposed to be on
Yeah.
the fucking bridge. Why is he there?
He's not even supposed to be on the bridge.
Oh, who did we lose? Oh, Kevin was yelling so much that
He
broke
just
the
dropped
internet.
right off the internet.
Screen time.
I'm going to reiterate his point because I have the exact same one. Bones isn't supposed to be there.
Well,
The only time Bones is ever on the bridge apparently is in Star Trek 1 every 10 seconds. But past that, he's not supposed to be there. And then the end of the simulation, after she fails or whatever you want to call it, they all failed technically, is you see the angelic scene of Kirk coming through the door after he tells them to open up the simulator room. Right?
right.
Like, it's ridiculous as well. Oh, we're back to, there's Kevin again. He yelled so much he fell off the internet.
I didn't miss anything. I still heard all of it. I was still listening.
Oh, okay. So
It
just
was
your
weird.
camera dropped
I
off.
wonder if B Live's just having a problem today.
Well,
But
I
anyway.
heard that the internet's having a bit more stress lately with more of these chats and stuff. So maybe that's
Of some sort of reason, I don't know. I've
Something.
recently been shopping and other things.
right.
But anyway.
But we were talking more about like why are all they involved? I got the impression that Kirk is now a teacher, and I guess he got all his friends to become teachers with him at Starfleet Academy and take part in this test.
Yeah, like, come on.
Um,
Except for Chekhov, which we're going to get into later on how convenient that is. But anyway.
well, I think it's a bit of a
Or
misdirect
Chekhov.
too to make you think like, okay, this is a real situation that Savick is commanding, but it kind of feels weird because we
It's
don't
not
know.
even close to a redirect. You literally look at this and go, oh, all these high-end people are there. Obviously, this is a simulation. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Anyway. I remember feeling that when I first saw the movie, and I still feel it. Every time I see that scene, I'm like, eh.
Yeah.
The other thing we're introduced to in this first scene is the new uniforms, which we will come. This will become the Star Trek movie uniform for all the Star Trek movies that come after it, and will also sort of
Thank God.
in the Star Trek universe stick around for about a century in their timeline. Like they're wearing these uniforms.
No more packages. That's the best thing. No more packages hanging out.
No more. Yeah, like
I didn't notice any packages this movie.
no, they're like
Not at
trousers.
all.
Trousers that are not so revealing are important. And also so that they could go to the bathroom because the uniforms they wore in Star Trek 1, as we covered last week, did not have any way to get off easily if you had to go. They had to be like a costume designer had to like get you out of it.
Shoot.
No poop shoots.
I think they just teleport the urine out of your body.
Yeah, right.
Do they have
Mike,
a laundromat on the Enterprise, or do they just like? Do they have a laundromat on the Enterprise? Have you ever wondered that? Is there like someone doing laundry, or do they just like zap them, like vaporize them, and just make a new one out of the?
Like a
Well, they
Sonic
do
shower.
actually have laundry service.
Uh,
They do, because in Star Trek 6, they actually talk about that. Funny enough, you mentioned that. In Star Trek 6, when they're doing their searches, they
can you
search the
imagine
laundry room.
Enterprise? I'm on a star.
He's cutting out for me.
Man, he's delayed out hard.
Yeah.
So is Dave, though.
Oh, really? Really?
Everybody's delayed now. Yeah, like nobody's syncing up except for myself.
I can hear you fine,
At
Jody.
least with
I
me.
hear
Anyway.
both of you fine.
Yeah, you three.
Actually, Kevin's synced too, but
Yeah. I guess a lot of people are on the internet today
anyway.
for Easter.
Yeah. Sorry, everyone.
I think Mike's just fucking with us. I think he's like,
Purposely doing.
see, I told you he was fucking with us. Anyway. Who invited this stoner?
Sorry, Mike. What were you saying about the?
More importantly, why?
Oh yeah, but so yeah, where the uniforms are? Why is it that they're never clean? I just thought that they have one of those like lights that like disinfects everything.
Yeah, like a UV light. And
Yeah.
boom, you're done.
Boom. Yeah, it just kills all the germs.
Mhm.
I'm telling you, they have laundry services on the Enterprise. It's in Star Trek 6.
I imagine somebody. Well, I imagine somebody talking. Oh, I work on the Starship Enterprise. Oh yeah, what's your job? I do the laundry.
Right. We also see a lot of people wearing these like radiation suits in this movie. Like that's a new thing in Star Trek that like they hadn't really been shown before this.
In engineering.
Yeah.
My favorite in this movie though is when like later on in the movie when they're in like the cloud or the nebula or whatever, and everybody's like in battle station mode and like people are walking down the hallway and shit. There's one guy who's got this like massive backpack on, and it's connected to this thing that looks almost like a Ghostbusters type like ray gun kind of thing, but it's got this like you have to go back and look at it. It looks like a dildo.
Oh, did
Yeah, it looks like a
Shatner
dildo, like a
look
lit up
back at him?
dildo.
Shatner looked back at him as they were going down the hall. Is that what you're talking about?
Kinda, yeah, exactly. It's like where they're all go by, and the guy's like, and he's walking around with this like lit up penis that's connected to a backpack.
Also, let's talk about Kirk's collar that makes his head look like a clitoris.
What? Do we have a picture of this?
It's true. it's like
On his coat.
yeah.
On his toe.
Topped collar on his coat.
Oh, on his coat.
Notice it?
Like when he's down on the planet.
No, the coat when he goes down onto the shit on the on the thing. Yeah.
And
I
it's
did not think of that at all. No.
Oh yeah. You will never.
I
be
would imagine Kirk
ready to
probably
get
was the. Kirk's like, give me the one with the vagina.
Yeah, it looks a lot like a vagina.
It does, yeah. Anyway, we're getting all over the place here.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Okay, so I just want to get back into the movie. So we kind of covered the Kobayashi Maru scene. I guess the only other thing maybe that's noteworthy there is that we meet Robin. Oh no, it's not Robin Curtis. It's the other one.
No, it's not Robin Curtis. Damn it!
It's Kirstie Alley. It's Savick.
What's that? Kirstie Alley Savick. Yeah.
We were just talking about Savick.
Who, by the way, is the only person in this entire fucking movie that does what she's supposed to do all the time.
Yeah,
Think about
that. Yeah, like as I was watching it again, I'm like, she's kind of not of consequence, really. She doesn't.
She's the only non-incompetent. She's literally the only non-incompetent person in Starfleet during this entire movie.
Rules of all the Starfleet rules. That's why.
She follows rules. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
she follows rules. She does shit correctly.
Oh yeah, she's always like
Yeah,
She
citing.
tries to do shit correctly, and nobody
tells
listens
him
to her.
raise shield.
Yeah, she's like, that's not by the
Well,
book. Right.
Let's beam down our captain, our chief medical officer, and a cadet. That makes perfect fucking sense.
True.
This movie is just chock full of stupid.
I think it's her main purpose. The reason her character exists in this movie is I think is to give us another Vulcan, I guess, for Spock, and I think also that she's the student who's learning from Kirk and the whole Kobayashi Maru and this whole unwinnable scenario and what his solution for cheating death is, and that's kind of the theme of the film that's set up in the opener here.
Well, it's supposed to be him trying to face. Yeah, he's facing mortality.
Right, and then we go to the scene with McCoy and him in his quarters on Earth in San Francisco. McCoy brings him a bottle of Romulan ale for his birthday, and Kirk's just, he's not happy. By the way, is Kirk wearing a toupee or Shatner wearing a toupee in this? Any opinions?
Probably. I didn't.
Shatner's probably been wearing a toupee since the fucking 70s.
I think it looks like a toupee to me for sure.
Yeah.
I think you would have to, because else he
Always.
really look like a clitoris wearing that
Oh yeah.
collar.
Yes.
If he were bald.
So it's back to the clips.
It's true.
I didn't know that was a
Go
discussion.
back to the clitoris, Dave.
Everything goes back to the clitoris.
Oh no, it's an angry clitoris.
Sometimes they are, Jade. Sometimes they are. Anyway,
Oh no.
Dave's gonna lose this shit.
You just ruined the movie for Dave.
Oh, I haven't even begun to ruin this fucking movie. This movie is terrible. It's not as bad as Star Trek 1, though. No one deserves that.
Whoa.
Yeah, but okay. I don't even know if I can. I think I have to just move on.
Can we move on to the Wrath of Coincidence? Because that's what this movie should have been called.
Okay, so yeah, the next thing is that we hover up to Reliant with Chekhov, and he finds Khan on SETI Alpha, what he thinks is SETI Alpha 6, but is actually SETI Alpha 5.
Yeah.
Okay, I have total problems with this as well.
Yeah,
Chekhov number 1 wasn't even in the fucking episode in the original show.
Okay,
He wasn't even in that fucking season.
but he could have been on the ship. We don't know for sure.
How does he know what Khan looks like?
Maybe they met off screen.
on.
They met in a scene we never saw.
Yeah, it's possible.
But he wasn't part of the crew in the
He
first.
wasn't part of the crew.
He was not. No, but he could have been, and we just didn't see him.
Got a poster in his
Okay.
bedroom. You never know.
Okay.
No, it's inferred that they've met.
Yeah, and that was Khan's real muscle too. Anyway,
Like I don't know why they gave this
I just
Chekhov.
like he wasn't in.
Sulu or somebody.
Sorry. Not only that, Chekhov and the captain of the fucking Reliant go down to look at this fucking desert planet.
Yeah.
Like, okay, there you go. Kirstie Alley should have been over there too, fucking yelling at them.
Right. The
Kirstie Alley's the only competent person in Starfleet right now.
It's still the
But
wild.
that's the way the original series was. They always.
It's true.
It was always the.
I
captain and
understand.
Spock
I get it. I'm being facetious.
and someone to die.
but it's yet another nail in the fucking coffin
Yeah.
on this movie. Like it's not as good as everybody thinks it is. I'm sorry. Anyway, keep going.
Well, what about
I got more.
even just Ricardo Montalban as Khan? Can we just because he gets his debut in this sequence, right? After Chekhov and Captain Terrell kind of get down there, they find the
Pulls
ship.
off the mask.
Yeah, and then
Oh my
I don't know
God.
why they don't beam away.
It
I don't know
takes
why they can't beam away.
Forever
But
to take that thing off.
Oh yeah, the guy's like he's sitting there and he's got this mask and he's like
You gotta like put on stripper music or something. He's like,
yeah. There should have been like fucking like yeah. There should have been
people
stripper
around him
music.
should
for
be
sure.
like, "What the fuck are you doing? Why are you taking so long?"
Yeah,
And they have
It's
all
like,
very close.
I'm doing
too.
it for effect.
Like,
All his
they were
buddies.
done.
yeah, he took his off last.
He took his off last. Like they were all like declothed or whatever.
Well, and he's like,
Yeah, he never takes off the one
No,
glove.
just one glove.
Only leaves that one glove on.
yeah, just say, oh, sorry, just the one glove. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
right.
Right.
And then he's like, and so then at
Like
that
Michael
point, he
Jackson.
still has the visor on, and Chekhov already looks like he knows who he is by his mouth. And then
You
it's
knew
like,
who he was by
Pretty
looking
sure
at
he
that
was
belt.
on
buckle.
Yeah,
Hey.
what does that say?
the guy who wasn't in the fucking episode or the season.
So I have a question. Are any of
Like
the
the-
actors the same as from Space Seed? Like the background?
No.
No one returned
Well,
except
maybe
for Ricardo.
I don't
maybe
think
Khan
so.
had maybe Khan had reruns of Star Trek while he was on that planet. You never know.
Maybe.
He just seemed like he had his little book collection. King Lear. Yeah, a lot of Shakespeare, Moby Dick. Those were like the books I
Oh.
was reading.
Yeah, Moby Dick, which I'll get into later. But anyway, yeah,
Well, yeah, because
this fucking movie's
Khan
terrible.
is very
Anyway.
much like Ahab, right?
Yeah.
That Kirk is the guy who wounded him and that he wants revenge
This
on.
is totally a Moby Dick situation. And this guy is supposed to be super fucking intelligent, super strong, and yet he can't see the one fucking weakness he has right in front of him. They
Even when-
literally could have tattooed on his fucking fake chest,
It's not
and he
fake.
still wouldn't know it.
Not
That is
fake.
really his chest.
He's a beauty.
Okay.
He's a man. He's a real
Right.
man.
Jody, do you have the ability to show?
Montalban.
Do you have the ability to show us that right now? Can we look at that chest and we can all decide once and for all if that is a prosthetic?
I don't have it queued up, but give me a second. I'll grab it.
Okay.
All right.
Any thought? So, Mike, what do you think about? Do you think that Ricardo Montalban's chest is prosthetic, or is it real?
Forget his chest. Look at his hair. Who did his hair on the planet? He has like perfectly coiffed bangs and like.
Oh,
flowing
I
hair.
I
don't
am
have any
so
shampoo,
glad you said
like-
that because it was the
What
exact
the
same thing I
fuck?
was thinking.
He looks like he came from a salon.
That's amazing. I'm so glad you said that.
It's an 80s woman's cut, like with just like, like the ear, the bangs. I'm like, yeah, that's a woman's haircut.
I love that
Yeah,
hair.
they should be all dirty and like.
Yeah, it should
Yeah.
look. he
You
should
would,
look-
Dave. You
They
would.
should all look a little worse for wear, having lived on this
If
desert.
you see some of his friends, they got like dirt on their face, and
Yeah, they all wear like.
I got it. I'm just putting it up here. Just
some
give
of
me a
them
second.
do look bad. But he looks like he's like perfect, like he came out of like a salon.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. here.
Salon.
I got it coming now.
He's been shaved.
Dave,
Yeah.
Dave, can you bring me?
Yeah, Solo.
Dave, make me full screen.
All right, let's see this chest.
There we go.
Oh,
Here, I'll just
yeah.
turn that off. Okay, let's have a look at that.
Oh, there's the nip.
That's a real nipple if I ever saw one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know.
But my-
That's tough. That looks more like breast than chest.
well, I
Okay,
think
I'll
it's
give
real.
you. I'll give you in this picture. But there's other pictures that look like it's ridiculously fake. So I'll see if I
Yeah,
can find another
I-
one. We'll do a comparison later on in the episode.
Yeah, this one looks like there's flaws in his skin, but there are some that it just looks so
right, Dave.
flawless that I'm like,
It's Ricardo Montalban. He is flawless. Come on.
What do you think they
Bring-
like
bring
put
us back,
makeup
Dave.
on it? Like
Okay, what's that? Oh, take it off.
Said, bring us back. There we go.
All right, there we go. You're back. Okay. Yeah.
I'll see if I can find one of the thicker shots.
In this scene, how come they're looking for life on this planet? They're like looking for like microbes and shit, but they don't find the 20 people that are on the face of the planet. The only 20 people on the face of the planet.
Not only that,
There's not even trees or anything that they're hiding.
Yeah, that's weird.
They're not in the
That's empty.
containers. They're not in the
Yeah.
containers. They're clearly outside because eventually they go to leave because they're like,
There's all those
oh no,
creatures too.
oh no, and then they walk out. They walk outside, and all 20 of them are sitting there.
Yeah.
Like, tell me that you can't find them on sensors. Like, come on.
Yeah, that was a bit.
Everything is convenient in this fucking movie. Everything.
I know you're right.
There's nothing not convenient about this movie.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I guess that's true. But that's the story. That's the story of this movie. And I think
The Wrath of Convenience. That's what they should have called this movie.
Convenience. Mhm.
Convenience.
Does everyone though agree that
Got him.
Ricardo
Hilarious.
Montalban is pretty amazing in this film?
I agree, Dave.
Thank you.
He's awesome.
He's amazing anyway. Let's be honest.
And just
The
him,
guy's amazing.
him versus Shatner in this film. I think is
No comparison.
what's that?
No.
They make Shatner look like he's so much smarter than he is.
Well, they said what? Okay, we were watching this director's commentary. He also said that
Yeah.
Shatner did this was better the more scenes he did, because when he would come in, he would try to like overact and be very Shatner like. And the guy with Nicholas Meyer, the director, is like, just do it like 50 times until you're just tired and bored of it. And now that's real life. There you go.
They have to tire out Shatner so he can be a better actor. That's incredible.
It's like trying to put your 3-year-old to bed, you know? You're like, here you go. Ride your tricycle for a half an hour. He'll be tired, then you can go to bed.
Right. And apparently Montalban was also came in a little too hot. He came in too like ready to be like a big ham, and so
he was hot through the whole fucking movie.
He was, but Nicholas Meyer pulled it back apparently, so it would have been much more.
Speak softly,
and take his time more with it, and and be like not always yelling it or whatever. And he's very menacing.
If Nicholas Meyer says that this is the best we could get, what does that tell you about this movie?
I think it's a great movie.
It's a fantastic movie. It's a good story. Tight.
You all have so many glasses on, it's not even funny. Anyway,
I think we also need to talk about maybe one of the other big plot point of this movie, which is the Genesis device, but also Carol Marcus and David Marcus as the son of Kirk.
More convenience.
Well,
daddy issues.
The Genesis device.
He's the Luke Skywalker, the movie.
I honestly hate his son, and I'm glad the Klingons kill him.
Well, that's not till the next movie. But...
Well, they don't do that in this movie. We're not in the future yet. That's next week.
That's next week where we kill
Which, by the way, I'm not looking forward to at all.
That actor dies too. The actor who plays David Marcus.
Oh yeah, when?
He died in the 80s. He didn't live much longer after this. Like after Star Trek 3.
How did he die?
Well, being in this movie.
Tragic.
Really?
Sorry.
Klingons.
David Marcus.
Yeah, he was killed at a convention by Klingons, real Klingons.
Merritt. It was played by
the best point of this entire movie.
He died in 1989 of a
drug overdose.
Oh no.
Oh, can't say I couldn't call that one. All right. Anyway, let's move on.
Yes. Well, where did we go from there? So the Genesis device. Let's talk about the Genesis device, and I think also the fact that they gave Kirk a son in this movie, I think, is also important, and his old girlfriend in Carol Marcus, who Spock seems to know. So it infers that Spock and Kirk have known each other longer than their time on the Enterprise, because David Marcus is 24 years old in this movie. They talk about 15 years ago when he was dealing with Khan.
He was only 24 in this movie.
Does he know Carol Marcus or does he know of Carol Marcus?
No, they meet, they say hello to each other, and they go, "Oh, I believe you know each other." He goes, "Oh, of course."
Oh, okay.
So it infers that Kirk and Spock knew each other back in the day, like maybe 10 years before even they were on the Enterprise serving together, and they knew Carol Marcus at that time. So that's and it didn't work out because Kirk's a starship captain and she's a scientist, and so
Now, in the Pine one, what was her role when we saw her there?
The Chris
Wasn't
Pine?
she? Yeah, wasn't she in Starfleet?
in that movie she
in
is
that movie, she is
in Starfleet in the new Star Trek Into Darkness, but that's not confirmed in this timeline because this is a different timeline than that.
So maybe she was, but she got out, or we. Just don't
Maybe
know.
they were in Starfleet together, and I guess her father would still be that evil admiral from Star Trek Into Darkness, played by RoboCop.
So she didn't
Played
appear
by
in the
RoboCop.
series at all. Carol Marcus.
Yes, no, this is the first time
This is the first time in.
This is the first and
original-
only time, really,
we've-
in the prime timeline that we ever met Carol Marcus.
In the chat, we just got a Carol Marcus sucks.
Well, Carol, let's bring that in here.
Yeah,
Jeff's here. Carol, yep, there it is. Carol Marcus sucks.
And he knows because he has a Star Trek thing shaved into his head.
Yeah.
If anybody is
I'm just gonna leave that there for now.
a professor of Star Trek, it is Jeff Mater.
Now, if she sucked, Kirk wouldn't have a son.
She also does something.
Wow. That's debatable.
Right.
There's room for both in this world.
Maybe Kirk isn't just a one-hit wonder.
Maybe not. Can we talk about the Genesis devices itself as a plot device? I guess more so this thing that can rearrange matter and change everything into whatever it wants to be. And so when Kirk breaks this to McCoy and Spock later on, they have very different reactions. Spock being, "Oh, that's kind of cool. That's neat. Fascinating," whatever he says, and McCoy's like, "You damn bloody Vulcan," and he's just like, how can you not feel that could be like so destructive? Like McCoy immediately understands the destructive impact of this. He just learned about it 10 seconds earlier.
Well, it's whoever is negative and whoever's positive in this world, right? Bones being a negative guy automatically looks at the destruction side of what this can do versus the good it can do. I think the more interesting thing in all this is literally a movie before this. They have transporters that don't work right, but yet they have the ability to terraform an entire fucking planet mass with this device, and it works correctly. Correction, she swallows, not spits. Good to know. All right. Anyway.
Well, I don't know. That was risque there.
I don't know about you guys, but
Pregnancy doesn't happen that way.
Yeah, that's not.
I'm glad I know this now.
I don't know what Mom Dad told you, but
Anyway, this used to be a PG podcast.
That was doomed to fail.
Wow, you put me on there. That obviously is going to screw it up.
Yeah,
It goes right to PG-13 automatically if I'm on it.
Right. But the whole Genesis device, I thought it was interesting when I first saw this movie. I'm like, that's kind of crazy, amazing.
Convenience.
One thing I noticed about it though was they do their scientific proposals through
Crazy
YouTube
writing.
documentaries. Like
YouTube documentaries,
the whole thing, is
Yeah,
I've seen that on YouTube, I'm sure.
Right. When they break this classified.
Well, for a top secret thing, who animated this? Is Carol Marcus an animator as well? Like, does she have the ability to do all the CGI for her presentation, or who else knows about this shit?
ILM.
Yeah, ILM.
Well, there's got to be like contractors for this, right? Like she probably contracted out this 3D
it's like that
imaging
scene
to
in
somebody.
Clerks, whereas like I bet there were some contractors working on that Death Star, independent contractors who got knocked off.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, they didn't have any vested.
By the way, they reused a lot of footage from the original movie in this.
Oh, yeah.
That's another thing I wanted to point out.
What footage?
There's tons of footage that has been reused for the first one. For instance, when the Enterprise leaves the super far away space dock, like it seems to always be parked in like, I actually watched a video the other day about that, and it's like, yeah, oh, I see they're still parking the Enterprise in section ZZ of Disneyland. It's like fucking things like way the fuck away from everything else.
Right. Well,
It's
I thought,
like-
I thought that the scene of them leaving the space dock with the Enterprise was it took a little long, but at the same time,
Totally reused.
it after last week,
It was reused footage.
Yeah, it was shorter. They cut
They
it
even
down.
have the guy that waves as they're leaving.
I saw
Who the
that.
fuck is he waving
the air
to?
traffic
It's a fucking
controller.
Star Wars. No, he's not. He's on the side of it.
I saw that, but I thought
Like the saucer section's already past him, and he's like, "What?"
And why is the Enterprise
He's waving at the
always the
ship.
only ship available for anything?
I said this in the last podcast.
All right, we got a new question.
Question: do we believe Christy? Sorry, I guess I'm
Christy
not
Alley
hosting.
plays
Okay, go ahead.
Scene Vulcan.
well, I saw some motion in her, so not 100%. No.
She's
Um,
more like a Spock Vulcan, though, because Spock isn't.
He's not full on.
He doesn't play. Leonard Nimoy doesn't play Spock like other Vulcans are played,
That's true.
like Next Gen and whatnot.
yeah, I think she's a convincing enough Vulcan. I think that one thing that makes her stand out is her hair. Her because most Vulcan females have like that bowl cut look.
Dave.
Yeah.
It's regulation.
It's still regulation.
We know that.
All right.
It doesn't. I don't even know where the regulations are because you can have it up, you can have it down. Do they even have a regulation? What's the point?
What was the scene in the elevator where she's in her karate gear and he's asking her about her hair and then she leaves and McCoy says, "Did she change her hair?" And he goes,
Did anybody get a creepy?
Your hair is like
That
Did-
vibe.
did it? Yeah, your hair. Oh, your hair is different. Yeah.
He looked her over. It
Like
was-
anybody else get a creepy fucking Uncle Kirk vibe going on there?
Yeah,
I think
Hello, little miss.
Kirk's a horny fellow. We know this.
Kirk might need to be Me Too'd.
My God.
He's
Oh, he would be me
Yeah.
too.
He definitely is part of the Me Too movement for sure.
yeah. But overall, do we think Christy Alley plays a convincing
Made up.
Vulcan? Honestly, I think she's compared to the Robin Curtis
She's all right.
version, which is the one who takes over this role. I think she's actually more human than Robin Curtis was because Robin Curtis was like a robot,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
which maybe is more
Yeah.
convincing. So there we go.
Yeah, she
Um,
Vulcan.
Yeah. Okay. So that's answering that. Okay. So I want to kind of talk more about, I guess, the everything that happens after things meet up. So it's most of this movie is Kirk versus Spock. Initially, the space battle. They have a series of space battles. The first one is like the trick, right? Where it's Reliant and they have their communications down, and at the last minute, Khan flips up the shield and shoots them in the side, and this is what leads to the death of, or I think it's what leads to the death of Scotty's
Yes.
nephew
Yep.
in this scene, right? And
Which in the original theatrical release, you don't know that's the nephew. You just think Scotty leaves because he felt like it.
well,
And then
Right.
he's bringing dead bodies to the bridge.
And
Like
he's like, here,
a cat
Yeah.
that just killed.
what am I going to do with this?
do you know
I
why?
got nothing
I
to do
brought
with
you a
this.
gift.
Do you know why he? I know why he
Scotty's
does
like
that.
the cat.
Captain.
Why does he
Yeah.
do that?
Scotty's like the cat that brings
He's
back
bringing
the
dead
mouse.
bodies to his bed.
He's like,
yeah.
here, I
Drops
bring you
it
this.
on the floor like a lump.
I bring you this. Don't you? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
Just
can tell you why.
randomly keeps coming in.
It speaks to the earlier question you had, Kevin, because you were asking why is McCoy never in sick bay? Why is he always on the bridge?
Yeah.
And this is why Scotty, I think, brings him the
He's
dead
a
body.
shitty doctor.
He's like, "Where's the doctor? Why is it in the sick bay? We're in a battle situation."
It was a
What
better
the fuck do I do with this?
on the bridge than it's sick
Stay
bay.
up here. He keeps coming back.
It would have been better if Scotty walked in with this. Like, here, I gotta put down my cider for this. I think Scotty should have walked in holding his dead nephew, going, "Oh, this isn't the morgue."
This is in sick bay.
Right? Like that would have been great.
Yeah.
Or
Oh,
like,
this isn't sick bay.
just like a cat, just drops it on the floor and just walked out.
Here. Are you proud of me? And then he walks away.
Right. But like,
You see Kirk and he's shaking like a bag of like Skittles or something.
and then
Oh,
so
you're so good.
Khan's
Anyway,
defeated Kirk in like a matter of minutes, right? And he says, "Okay, but before I kill you, I want you to know who did it." and I want all the information you have on Genesis. And so Kirk then takes this opportunity to like, oh, we're gonna get the combination.
Oh God.
We're gonna shut down their shields, and that's gonna allow us to beat it. Why didn't he think of this a few minutes earlier? I don't know. But
why didn't he listen to Kirstie Alley? This entire fucking movie is about why didn't they listen to Kirstie Alley? The first thing she said is, "There's no communications with the ship. We should put up our shields." And he's like, "Fuck that. What do you know, cadet?"
Well, what did he have to lose,
like,
really? He was going to offend the other captain?
His fucking ship. That's what he had to lose.
Well, sure, I know.
Not only that, but they couldn't even look up that the Reliant was in that vicinity.
Kirk even admits he was wrong and says, "Keep doing what you're doing."
Yeah.
Or even to mention that I guess there'd be fewer crew members on the Reliant than there normally would have been. I don't know how many were on the ship that got deposited on the planet. But
Yeah, because they dropped.
Nobody knows because apparently the scanners can't tell.
Yeah, they can't find them anyway. They're gonna scan that planet and go, "There's nobody down there."
Right. Kirk says at the
Probably
end,
150 fucking people.
We're gonna go find them.
Yeah, they're going back to find them, but good luck.
Yeah. You better bring a rake.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. We're gonna comb the planet like in Spaceballs.
Right. But I like this whole like cat and mouse sort of dynamic between Kirk and Khan, because they never share a scene together. Not in person. They're never in the same room in this whole movie together. They're always fighting from their spaceships, or they're talking on the communicator.
Maybe I missed this, and I've seen this a bunch of times, and I've never noticed it. So I don't know if this is something that maybe I missed, or it's in the director's cut or something. How does he even know Kirk is on that ship? Does anybody know?
Wouldn't Chekhov know
I guess that they were pulling information out of Chekhov.
How does Chekhov know that?
Because he's in Starfleet.
I don't know. Maybe he read a status.
Oh,
report.
why does he know that Kirk is on Spock's training?
Because actually, Spock is the captain
it's not
by this point, and so it's not Kirk.
That's right. Yeah.
Well,
so why do they even know that the admiral's on there?
Maybe there's
Kirk is an admiral.
Memos that go out. Hey, we're doing this.
I think he just sees the first ship. He's like, "Go get him."
Yeah. Well, it had to be the Enterprise because that's the only one that's ever there.
It's the only one that Khan knows either, right? Like other than the Reliant now. He only knows about these two ships.
Yeah, Khan's like, "Oh, there's the Enterprise. Kirk is there. Let's kill him."
Because
it's like
I think it's
been 20 some odd years, hadn't it?
Right. Khan 15. So Khan, he kidnaps Chekhov and Tyrell. He puts the worms in their ears. So he goes, "Why are you here?" He finds out about Genesis. From Genesis, he says, "Okay, we're coming to take Genesis from you." And then I think it's sort of Khan thinking on the fly. He goes, well, she's like, "Well, who gave the order?" And he's like, "Well, it came from Kirk." And this is what Khan pulls Kirk out. I don't know if he knows it's going to be the Enterprise per se, but I guess it's reasonable considering that's the ship he knows Kirk from. And then that's when he...
All right, let's just write it down to convenience again.
Okay, so why did Khan want information on Genesis from Kirk? They know where Karamarcus was? Like, why did he need that extra information?
He wanted to know how to work it, I guess.
Why does he want Genesis anyway? What is he going to do with it?
Where it was.
It's a good question. Why does he want Genesis other than it's a weapon?
It's a weapon.
Because it's a weapon.
Yeah, but you shoot it once and that's it. You can't use it again.
True.
I suppose. Well, that's why he needs the information to build another one.
We had a question from Jeff.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
After rewatching, does Khan live up as Kirk's nemesis? Is he the Joker to Kirk's Batman? I think it's an interesting question because I think that this set a tone for all of the Star Trek movies that came after it. I think that they were always or often were trying to find some sort of Machiavellian, some sort of Shakespearean level villain to put up against the captain. It worked so well in this movie. So I guess my short answer to that is yes, because I think that they've been chasing this ever since. I think that the dichotomy between these two characters, the fact that it was set up in the series, that this is a character we sort of already know from the television show versus somebody they just brought in. Like next week, we'll see that they'll bring in Christopher Lloyd to be a villain. And down the road, like there was there was a guy whoever played Spock's brother. I can't remember. And then, most notably Christopher Plummer, who played General Chang in Star Trek VI.
I don't think he does live up. He tricks him one time, and then Kirk gets the best of him every other time.
Yeah.
Like, he's a pretty mediocre nemesis,
Yeah, he's supposed to be so smart.
right?
He's supposed to be so smart, but he lets his anger get him over him every time.
He was blinded by
It's
his anger.
literally Moby Dick in
Kirk
space.
just like puts a little bit out there, and he's like, "Ooh."
Yeah. It's kind of amazing that his crew doesn't really rebel against him. Like his first officer kind of tries, but yeah, like that they just kind of follow his orders till their detriment to the end, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think so because I just think Khan is so like he just chews up that scenery. I don't think in terms of what his actions are. I think you're completely right, Kevin. Like, yeah, like even in the original show, which is only a 45-minute show, like Khan gets the best of him for like 2 minutes because Kirk kind of lets his guard down. And then Kirk turns it around on him, partly because his wife, Khan's future wife, kind of like, you know, at the last minute doesn't allow.
You really think of
yeah.
if you really think of Khan's point of view too, like they dropped him off on that planet, and they literally never checked in on him ever again for 15
Right.
years. Nobody bothered to see anything.
So I think Khan has a point that I think
So
Khan
I'd
has a
be
right
pissed
to be
too.
mad. Yeah. With what happened. Like they never checked. Like at the end of
Yeah.
that episode, they say, well, what it would be like to come back in 100 years and see what that's like, right?
Yeah.
So if they hadn't made this movie, it would have been interesting to see like Next Generation pick up that or something, but obviously that didn't happen because of this. Yeah, so I think Khan's vengeance is understandable. Although you know, obviously Kirk being the good guy in the situation.
Does anyone recall? I can't recall. How did Khan end up on that ship in Space Seed in the original series?
Yes.
How did that happen? Was he defeated, or did they chose
They were-
to leave Earth?
They were
I can't
frozen in cryogenic, and they
Yeah, what happened was, so there was the eugenics wars. There was a series of like these genetically engineered super people who kind of took over the world. This happened in the 1990s in the Star Trek universe. It obviously didn't happen in our world, but since that was made in the 60s.
1996.
Yeah, 1996. So eventually there's some kind of an uprising, and so somehow him and a few of his followers are able to escape on a ship and go into space.
So they were losing. They were running away.
They were running away.
They were bested back then too.
Yes.
Like,
They had already been defeated.
they've been defeated. Okay, so yeah, okay.
Right. So yeah, I guess so. Is he Kirk's true nemesis? He's definitely up there. But is he more so than like the Christopher Lloyd character next week who kills his son? Maybe not.
Mm.
But just the way he goes, God says yes to me. So just where he's like, I'm going to leave you as you left me, buried alive, right? and Kirk knows he's going to get out. Kirk knows he's got like a plan to get off that underground like Genesis world.
Right. Kirk has bested him already during that scene.
And Kirk's still pissed.
And like, I know that this whole thing is set up as experience versus intelligence, but Khan couldn't figure out the code. That's a pretty easy code to crack.
Yeah, it's 5 digits
And
and
he
12 numbers.
automatically believed that he wasn't using a code. Like, oh, this is all just what is happening.
Right.
You would never think.
Yeah, it's seeming like Khan's not as smart as maybe we all say here, or
No.
what
He thinks he is.
what he thinks he is.
Yeah.
He's supposed to have a superior intellect, but he clearly doesn't.
It's almost,
Just a big ego.
it might be just convenience.
How convenient.
It's ego too. Definitely ego.
For sure. Yeah, so they say
Well,
superior
That's why they couldn't be they can't be in the same scene together.
superior abilities harbor superior ambition, right? That's the problem with these genetically engineered people, is that they want to kind of run everything. They have too much aggression, too much testosterone. They're not woke enough. So
You need a little bit more balance in
you
your
need a little bit more balance. I also want to talk about just the space battles in this movie, because we talked about the first one, and then they go down to the planet. We do need to sort of quickly talk about Captain Tyrell, who he kills one of those scientist people. So right, but then when Khan orders him to kill Kirk, he can't. He the real Tyrell fights back and ultimately shoots himself. So what? Why couldn't he do that for the other guy?
Because it was captain to captain.
Didn't like that other guy so much.
He didn't like that other guy so much. He didn't like the cut of his jib. Right. Well, Jeff, we'll get to that question in a minute because
he was shooting at Marcus first, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, there's a little bit of a scuffle, and then he shoots one of
he goes to shoot, and then you see somebody jump on Marcus. I can't remember who jumped on Marcus. Was it Kirk?
Yes. And he goes, "Where's Dr. Marcus?" And he goes,
could have been one of the two.
Right. Yeah. This is where he's wearing the.
So he jumps, and then he shoots and ends up hitting one of the scientists.
Right. He shoots. He kills. He vaporizes.
Tyrell's a terrible character in this entire movie.
Who? Tyrell?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? Why you gotta jump on Paul Winfield?
I don't believe he's a captain. He doesn't seem very captain.
The guy is so stupid.
Yeah.
Was the Reliant the short bus of the fucking Federation? What the fuck?
Yeah, he seemed like he just finished eating paste.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, paste. Let's go down onto a planet."
Wow. Okay.
Not only that, he couldn't find any fucking life forms. There was 20 of them.
That's true. Well, they found that whole cavern with the Genesis effect, right? And I was trying to figure out where the sun was coming from inside that cavern, but maybe that's just
people
things. But then he's like, "I'll leave you buried alive," right? And then
convenience.
More convenience. It's a movie, man. What do you want? Of course.
Yeah, but I'm trying back to original series episodes. They could definitely tell what's on a planet. I remember the one where they're 20th century the gangsters or whatever that one was. Action. Oh my.
I love that quote.
They can
Captain Winfield.
Captain Winfield is no Captain Decker. Captain Decker, of course, from last week's Star Trek 1. I think that's what he's referring to. He's not Captain Winfield. He's Captain Tyrell.
Captain Decker's package was bigger.
Yeah, but I'd say that Paul Winfield. I like Paul Winfield in general as an actor. He's long.
I've seen him in some good stuff.
Yeah, he was in Babylon 5. He played Stephen Franklin.
Oh. No, I said good stuff.
Yeah, he was the narrator on Cold Case Files and a bunch of shows. He's got a great voice. But anyway, so he sacrificed himself. That's what allows them to. And then they get the worm out of Chekhov's ear. They find the cave. Carol Marcus says, "Can I cook or what?" Back
to that. Why did the worm die? Why did it jump out of Chekhov's brain?
I don't know.
We don't. Is this
because
when the worms when they hit the worm with the phaser, why does it burn and not vaporize like everything else in Star Trek?
Not only it burns, but it also secretes something. There's a pool of there's or something, and then there's burn.
Oh yeah,
they were trying to cook it.
Vomit yeah, I remember seeing that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
But that brings up a good point. Are they paired or something? So when the one dies, the other one freaks out or something? What's going on?
Sister died in the other brain.
Maybe the other one was afraid he was gonna get vaporized in a second.
Twinsies.
So they tried, but he ends up getting.
I did that one for Ashley.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Twinsies.
I guess because we didn't want to leave. We didn't want to Chekhov to die, so we had to get the worm out of him. And there wasn't enough time to give him a.
Speak for yourself.
Wait, what?
I want to check out the die. Anyway.
Babylon 5 is terrible, and everybody knows.
Yes, everyone.
Yeah, that's true. Jeff is right on that one.
Yeah, that's a great comment, Jeff.
I've never heard of anything that was more legit than that comment right there.
Okay. Well,
agreed.
Okay, so after they get off the asteroid, that's the new series of battles, right? There's that final Mutara Nebula scene, the famous scene, which is very much a submarine battle, effectively, an old U-boat battle from World War II or something, World War I. Did we like this scene? Do you guys like that whole sequence? I like
the fact that as they go into it, they're we won't have any visual at all, but yet they always have a little bit of visual.
Right, it's
just enough.
It's like the window.
They're oh look, the ship's in front of us.
But you can't look out the window.
No.
Well, they could look out the window if they want, but that's not what we were looking at.
Where's the windows on the bridge?
There isn't one, but there's windows.
There you go. They can't look out something that doesn't exist.
Well, no, there's windows on the ship.
Yeah.
There's windows on the ship.
Yeah, but they would have to leave the
There's windows
bridge to
somewhere
go.
else, though. They could like.
Well, they can call the
communicate with
guy in the
someone looking
room.
out a window.
Call the guy who's in the front of the ship and say, "Hey, what do you see out the window right now?"
Yeah. There's got to be some guy sitting at the front of the ship.
He's like, I'm busy doing laundry. Leave me alone.
Well done. Well done.
Right.
I like that one.
But like this is ultimately how Kirk beats Khan, because I guess he's just able to get the jump.
Or was it Spock by talking about the two-dimensional thinking?
Yeah.
Did Spock really beat him?
I guess yeah, it's two-dimensional thinking, but
Which is one of the most ridiculous fucking things ever to say. Like he's very two-dimensional thinking. It's like, what? How did you even come to that conclusion?
Well, he's thinking these
And
on
into the ready room.
That would be hilarious.
I like to.
he like wipes the window.
Oh, I see the ship. It's off the.
Oh, they're in front.
Yeah, it's just 10 degrees off. Yeah, it would have been great. But yeah, so Spock's the one who helps Kirk ultimately figure out a strategy to beat Khan, as he often does. And so as Kirk is going to get the jump on Khan and kind of finish him off, Khan's able to get off a couple shots, right? And kind of wound the ship. And this is why Spock ultimately has to go to the engine room to fix this,
Fix that thing.
to
whatever.
save things.
Let me know when we get started on that one, because I got a bunch of problems with that one too.
Well, I think we're almost there. So really, it comes, so the whole thing
Okay.
was
They couldn't get away.
they wound the ship. I don't know why Kirk doesn't finish off Khan, but I guess that he's the good guy, so he has to give Khan a chance to surrender and to be boarded. But
Well, because the Genesis was on that.
and they want
ship.
Genesis.
He didn't want to blow up the ship.
Right. So Khan's
He's on a
knows.
Starfleet ship. He doesn't want to. He doesn't care about Khan. He just wants to save that ship.
Oh, it's just to save the ship. And yeah, okay, that's probably fair. And so Khan's knows he's been defeated, so he just activates the Genesis device as sort of like a final FU to Kirk. And so they say, okay, we need warp speed in 3 minutes, and no, after we got shot, we can't. So this is where Spock just kind of gets like this laser vision and kind of goes off and
he knew what to do.
He knew what to do, like immediately. Ultimately, I guess what he has to do is he has to go into this big glowing tube and move something around, and then put the cap back on, and that's
with a lot of radiation.
With a lot of radiation, yes. So in terms of what he needs to do,
and they got guys walking around in the fucking hallway wearing fucking protective gear, and this fucker can't put on something. Like, you can't tell me that they would have this room. They would have this room in the future. They would have this room that's highly radioactive and not one fucking suit for anybody to have to go in there, because they'll never have to go in there.
Well, he only had 3 minutes. He didn't have time to put a suit on. He had to run there, and there was no time.
Oh, come on.
Oh, yeah.
He puts like the
convenient.
He's too shy to change in front of everybody too.
Maybe that makes more sense.
Mm-hmm. But ultimately, this brings us to what is maybe the most famous thing in this movie, which is Spock's death scene.
Mm-hmm.
I think
which is the only well-acted scene in the entire movie.
And I think that this brings us to well, Jeff's asking who do we, if we want to say who's better in this scene, Nimoy or Shatner,
Always Nimoy. Always.
Oh, yeah.
It's always Nimoy, yeah. But I will say, Shatner was really good in this scene.
Yeah.
Very good in this scene. Like, you actually can see that the man can actually act if he's tired and he tries.
Well, I thought it was really, I think just the dialogue, the way that these two perform it, I think that you need both of them for this to work. I think that their friendship and the fact that we've known these two characters together.
This is the tear up scene for sure. This is the only scene that I can watch in this movie where I go.
Spock says, I never took the Kobayashi Maru test. What do you think of my solution?
Created it.
And why would he have never taken that test? He is a Starfleet officer. It's not like Vulcans are.
He's fucking training the people.
It's not like Vulcans are exempt. Savick had to do it. Why did he never do it?
It's also worth mentioning that in Star Trek, the first one, like the J.J. Abrams one, Spock's the one who invented the Kobayashi Maru test in that timeline.
Which I was watching.
Yeah, but
it didn't conflict with this movie. They didn't really say anything. Like I thought that was okay.
Oh, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's just weird that in this timeline he never took the test, and in the other timeline he invented the test.
it. Well, if you invent something, why would you take the test? You invented it.
Right, I guess. Maybe he did still invent it and he never took it, but
as a control.
Wasn't this test right now? Like, isn't that what he went through when he died? This was Kobayashi Maru.
This was his no-win scenario.
Yeah.
Like, and
he could have won. All he had to do was put a fucking suit on.
Maybe
he literally did one thing. He lifted something up and put it on something else. That was the whole fucking thing.
He had to die. It's the only reason he would come back to do the movie.
I know. I know why they did it. Again, convenient.
Right.
The wrath of convenience.
Well, I think the whole scene is like beautiful, and apparently this is what got Leonard Nimoy back to do the role, because Leonard Nimoy was a holdout for this movie for a while. He didn't want to do it.
Yeah, and then we got Search for Spock. That was worth it.
Yeah, so I think they had to dangle a few carrots in front of his face. One was like, we're gonna give you this amazing death scene, which for an actor I think is what all actors really want. It was also, I think that they wanted him to come back after this, so they dangled the director thing at him, said we'll let you direct the third movie. And I think that's really what he wanted to do too. So I think all those things got Leonard Nimoy. I think that this movie would have been worse off without Leonard Nimoy, without this context. Yeah. And it's very obvious early on, well, just from that whole remember, and he gets McCoy with the Katra, and that's all part of the next movie. But
yeah,
that they knew that he was not going to stay dead for a while, right?
Yeah.
Well, even in one of the last scenes, you see the torpedo thing that they put him in. And it's sitting in like the middle of all the shrubbery and shit.
And I think that that's maybe the more emotional scene, which is, the funeral scene, where, he says, of my friend, I can only say this, all the souls I've encountered in my travels, his was the most human. And it's kind of calling
eulogy, he insults him.
Yeah.
Well, effectively, because Spock says in this movie earlier,
that would have been a good death scene for fucking Data, but not for Spock.
It's insulting.
He's insulted by his human side. Like, what the fuck?
Oh my! You are all heartless. It's like this gets me in the feels every single time.
Your funeral night,
dude. Even fucking Jane is on this one. Like, come on.
I think it's beautiful. I think the fact that and Mike's bad. I think that the fact that he didn't want to be human and he was always trying to be more Vulcan, but he really was the most human in so many ways, and I thought that was beautiful and touching. What a eulogy he gives in this.
No, it was bad. It was insulting to every other race than humans. Like, the humans are the best.
All right, trying to bring Mike back in here, see if he can connect. But Jeff's saying, is it odd that they played the Scottish bagpipes during this funeral? Like the Amazing Grace?
It's all they had.
Well, I think it's also with mentioning that
they put Scotty in charge. We
said earlier, James Horner is the composer. He went on to do Braveheart. Is it that weird, Jeff? That the guy who did the score for Braveheart also put some bagpipes into this? I think it was hilarious, Scotty playing the bagpipes, because this is the one and only time we ever saw Scotty do anything with bagpipes. But it was I thought it was really great. Yeah. I thought it was beautiful. The I
don't know if beautiful would be the first word that I would think of, but all right.
Oh my God.
This movie isn't that good. I'm sorry. You're making it out to be a fucking masterpiece. It's a masterpiece to the first one.
I've ripped on a lot of stuff, but I still find this movie thoroughly enjoyable.
I'm not saying it's not enjoying. I'm not saying that, okay? Yeah. I'm not saying that you shouldn't enjoy this movie. It is an enjoyable movie. I watched it. I liked it. But it is not the fucking end-all, be-all of Star Trek movies. It's not. There's better movies than this.
So the DVD extra we were watching, they were saying the first screening of this movie ended at the funeral. Like there was no there was no
That was all added in after.
Yeah, there was no coffin on the planet. It ended with the funeral, and the audiences left and were like really depressed. So that's why they added in these extras. What do you think the movie would have been like if it just ended at the funeral? It was a downer, so they that's why they changed it. They added more.
Thank you, Jeff. I agree with this.
What?
Jeff says, I do not think he meant the most human as in the species, but the man he knew with the most heart. So he's equating humanity with heart.
Then fucking say that.
Yeah.
Why insult the man? Like, yeah, he's dead, so it doesn't matter. But
Well,
But, like,
I'm
you're
with you,
insulting
Jeff.
the man.
I agree. I think that.
why don't they just say the guy had the fucking best heart?
Yeah.
Like,
It's still racist.
Jane's not even with you on this one. And Jane is with you on everything.
He is half human, guys. He it's okay. It's okay to
But
call him.
it's saying
But half human isn't the most human.
But the half human side of him is what held him back all the fucking time.
Right. Sorry. Mike's coming back in. All right. There we go.
Well, we hope. Oh, there he is.
Hey, Mike.
Hello.
Mike, do you think it was wrong for Kirk to say he was the most human in his eulogy for Spock?
No, I think it was just something they wrote for him to. I don't know. Where would you guys leave off? Is that what you were talking about?
We were talking about the funeral scene, and because earlier on in the movie, Savick and Spock talk about Kirk seeming more human, and he's not perfect because of that, and whatever. And then later on, Kirk says, if my friend, I will say he was the most human, and they were saying, well, that's racist.
Well, it's not racist. It's insulting to him.
Right. Well, why is it insulting to be human?
Because it's always what's held him back.
Why is it? I think it's insulting to say.
It's half human, so
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
I
that's
don't think it's
insulting.
insulting.
I think we're
It's
trying
half
to
human,
say-
so.
That's like bringing up the one part that you don't like about yourself.
And in the show, every time
That'd be like somebody at my funeral saying, "Oh, he was the fattest guy I know." Like, yeah, I'm fat. I get it, but
every time
that's not what you point out at a funeral.
every time McCoy says that he's in, and he says,
I think it's a compliment, actually. I think it's a compliment.
Well, I'm
Because
sure
he
he
is
uses
half
it-
human.
I think you meant it as a
You meant it
compliment.
as a compliment.
So, yeah, I think he's the best out of the Balkans because he has a partial human side to him
Because
too,
he's
so he has
partially
the best
human.
of both worlds.
Because after he says that
Yeah.
line, they look at Christy Alley and Savick.
Kirstie Alley was crying.
Christy Alley was crying?
I swear
What
there I
about the
saw.
bagpipes? I didn't hear you guys talking about the bagpipes.
Oh, we did talk about the bagpipes. Was it weird that they were in there? We're saying that Scotty never played the bagpipes.
I think it was because of Scotty's nephew too, partially because of that. They were honoring him. Maybe they threw his body in with Spock. He just didn't see it.
Well, how come he didn't get to come back to life?
Did you see the guy?
Spock absorbed him, and that's how he came back to life.
Maybe.
Jeff is confirming.
Spock came back for convenience.
Jeff says Christy Alley cried when Kirk said that.
That guy got.
So
Yeah,
bringing
So
back
maybe she's half human.
bringing back to your earlier question, does Christy Alley play a convincing Vulcan, Jeff? I guess the answer is no.
No.
So-
Not at this scene, I guess. But we never know if she's full Vulcan or not. They don't really explain it. Maybe she's
also,
half Vulcan
Vulcans
too.
have emotions. Some are better at hiding.
They have
it.
emotion and they just can't repress it. Yeah.
True.
Maybe she was so overwhelmed by her mentor dying.
Maybe she knew she was going to
That-
be replaced by Robin Curtis and just couldn't hold back.
Well, she got the role.
That's the biggest travesty.
Because this movie probably helped her land Cheers, right? Which obviously became the thing she was most famous for, not this movie, right?
Yeah, because Cheers started after that, right?
Well, she wasn't at Cheers at the beginning. It
It wasn't at Cheers in the
It
beginning.
was Sam and Diane, and then Diane left.
Isn't she replaced by Kim Cattrall? Am I wrong on that?
No, Kim Cattrall plays
Oh, that's way later. That's in the sixth one.
who Valeris, so the character in Star Trek 6, who Kim Cattrall plays,
Yeah.
was meant to be Saavik. They were going to bring Saavik back and
Yeah,
have her
yeah,
be
that's
like,
what I thought. Yeah.
and have her be like the betrayer in
Yeah.
that movie, but they couldn't get her. They couldn't get. Apparently, they couldn't get. I guess they couldn't get Christy Alley, and nobody wanted Robin Curtis, so they gave it to Kim Cattrall instead. Yeah. Right. So then, okay, then we get we're on the Genesis planet now, because I guess when the Genesis device is destroyed, it's not destroyed on a planet, it's destroyed in the middle of that nebula. So I guess the nebula is what becomes the planet itself, right?
I don't know. They never
I think
actually.
that's why it doesn't end up working, because it didn't get started on a planet.
Right. Because David Marcus cut corners on his
It's
work.
a plot point.
Yeah.
Convenient plot point.
Another question about that is, how in Sweet Baby Jesus did the torpedo land on that planet so unscathed? What kind of physics is this? Well, I think it's futuristic physics.
Convenient physics. That's what it is.
I think that those
Yeah.
torpedoes have, sort of a guidance system. But I think the question is, was that nephew of Scotty in that torpedo too, or did he have his own torpedo?
No, they just shot him out the
Very
tube.
funny.
They didn't even put him in
They
one.
just dumped him out with the garbage.
He was
and the-
jettisoned a while ago.
well, he could still be sitting on the bridge for all we know. Could be just laying there. Scotty's just fucking
He's
dropped
laying
him
on
and
the
left.
floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that it lands on that planet, and we have this hope. We have like this from we keep talking about the Genesis is life from death or life from nothingness. So I guess they did the test screenings. Everyone's like they're bummed out that Spock was killed in the original cut of this movie. So they said, no, we got to bring you back, Leonard.
And people were happier with this.
They wanted a little hope. So
little
it was
hope.
a little hopeful ending.
Right. This is very common in movies where they often will change an ending.
Of course.
Like in True, like a movie I love is True Romance, right, with Christian Slater, and his
Good movie.
character was supposed to die at the end of that movie. Spoiler,
Yeah.
and he doesn't because the test audiences hate it, right? And so they said, no, I want a happy ending for these two. People like happy endings, especially I think back in 1982. I think this was particularly true.
Yeah, they don't like him now.
Well, I think people are more like adept to sort of these, maybe not so rosy endings, or maybe these tragic endings can work. But back then, not so much. Maybe that's all I'm saying. Okay, so we know where this finally leads to, because now Kirk says he feels young at the end of this. Now he's ready to sort of start his life over again and maybe get back into space and whatever.
I didn't understand that. Where did that come from? Like, I get the whole thing of him being old. What made him young? Defeating Khan? Like, what exactly was it that made him feel young?
He got rid of Spock. He's like, finally, the bait of my fucking insistence.
Okay.
I guess the only thing that makes sense is that whole scene with him and Carol Marcus in the asteroid underground, where he's saying look at Genesis, look at this life. I think also the fact that he's able to. There's a scene where he reconnects with his son.
Yes.
Or I guess he's not. It's not even reconnecting. They haven't really met each other
No.
in his life, right? And so he says, "I'm very proud to be your son." And I think that maybe a bit of that. He's feeling like, okay, maybe I'm not useless. Maybe I'm not old. I still have a place. I just defeated Khan and I saved the universe. And
So it was getting out of his desk job.
getting out of his desk job.
That made him feel
Khan-
young again?
Khan defeated Khan. Kirk didn't defeat Khan. Khan defeated Khan.
More or less, yeah. Like, well,
Captain
Kirk
Ahab.
baited.
Agreed.
That's true. Yeah. And so we set up with this whole thing going into the next movie, which is, of course, the resurrection of Spock and the search for Spock. Are you glad? Would you have rather
The
Spock
search
had
for a
stayed
good
dead?
fucking movie. What's that?
Would you have rather Spock had stayed dead?
No.
No.
Because in some of the other movies coming past
No.
this one, he has some really good scenes. I really love him in 6.
Like right, so yeah, especially in 6 and some of the other great stuff he did after this.
when
So
he
I'm
gets like
glad
ready
that
to
they did
bitch
bring him back.
slap Kim Cattrall. That alone is worth that movie.
Right.
Yeah,
In
that's
Star Trek, there's some great stuff that comes after this for Leonard Nimoy Spock for sure. So I'm glad that
You can't have
your
the
mileage may
original
vary.
Star Trek without Spock.
Right. Your mileage may vary on Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, but I think that obviously it's the movie we need to bring the character back. It makes that the sacrifice that he gives here still feels meaningful, even though we know he comes back to life.
Mhm.
I think that the emotion,
It'd be meaningful
emotional
if he had a suit and it still didn't work. This is
Yeah,
it's a terrible movie.
suit.
Still
Right.
fun to watch though. It's a
Oh, yeah.
140-minute episode of Star Trek, the original
And that's
series.
the
That's
whole
all it
point.
really is.
It was fun to watch, and that's what I like in movies. It was a fun
watch.
fun.
I think one
And
of
it
the best things
introduces
they
us to a
did.
bunch of people we don't care about.
Like who?
Oh,
Like Kirk's son. Who gives a shit?
Maybe I do.
yeah. Gee.
Well, I know you do,
Dave,
but the
he's
rest
got a
of us
good
probably
name.
don't.
He's awful. He's awful, and I'm glad he died. Not the
You
actor,
could've
though.
condensed it all.
Spoiler.
You're when David Marcus dies in the next movie, it's not like Well, Jeff's asking,
it's good.
should they have just skipped Search for Spock and went right into Voyage Home? I think the answer is
I think-
no.
Yeah.
I
I
think
don't
the,
think they could. They had.
They
I think
can't.
that the events in Star Trek 3
I think they could
happened.
have condensed it into one movie.
Yeah, really this is the first of that trilogy. 1, 2, 3, and 4 are basically a trilogy.
I think once
Yeah.
you've watched Search
Yes.
for Spock and you know the story, then it's safe to skip it. I do almost all the time.
I don't think it's
Oh, I
one
never
you
watched
have to
3.
rewatch a lot.
I'm like blah blah blah.
But I think it's
they
part of the
find
story. I think-
Spock, blah blah.
I think we're going to dive into that movie next week. I think you're all going to find it's not as bad as maybe you all think it is. I think that the fact that they sort of rebel against Starfleet, they steal the Enterprise, they get into this tussle with the Klingons, that they're in like sort of that rebel mode for Star Trek 4. I don't think Star Trek 4 works on a couple levels without them being sort of in that Klingon ship, sort of being like this ragabank crew that's not, they're kind of down on their
But the most important character in Star Trek isn't there, which is the Enterprise. That character isn't there in the entire fourth movie.
I don't think it matters.
Barely.
I don't think it matters because I think
I think
what
it
we've
does.
learned is that really
Anyway,
it's
4
it's
is not
about
a good
that
movie either, and
particular
I'll
crew.
prove to you on that one as well.
Oh no.
Oh,
The only
can't
good
wait for
Star
that.
Trek movie of the first 6 is the 6th movie. Undiscovered Country is a fucking masterpiece.
I agree with you. Obviously, I love 6, but it doesn't mean that this is not good.
6 is
Because
6 is
because
better than
it's
this
just not
movie.
that good. Yes, I agree.
6 is better than this movie. 100%.
Yes, that
This
does not
movie
make
is
this
better
bad.
than the first one. Oh, I didn't say it was a bad movie. It's
Yeah.
still entertaining.
Oh, all right.
Okay. Any
Still a
final
terrible
thoughts
movie, though.
on Star Trek 2?
It's a good movie.
All right.
It's
Good
better
movie.
than 1
Is a
and better than 3.
Don't listen to the salty guy.
Don't
Good
send
movie.
us salty. He'll tell
Hey.
he'll tell you
Hey,
it's
hey.
Potentially the best movie
I thought
of
this was,
all.
you
except
think this is
for,
the best movie?
Well, except then
it's not the best one, but it's up there.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's not the best movie, but it is better than some of the other ones for sure. It's better than 5, it's better than 3, and it's better than 1.
True.
And
Sure.
so you're putting
Not that that's much of a-
I think the
accomplishment.
only reason why
4 is better than this movie.
Okay.
And I don't even like 4. 4 was a lazy written movie, but this is even lazier.
Mike, thoughts?
I think the reason why so many people like this movie so much is because the first one is so boring that when the second one came out, people were like,
You
"Oh my
got
god,
it.
this is so much better." That's the only
It's only-
reason.
It's only better
It's an
because you
alright
compare it to
movie, but
1.
It's not that good.
It
Yeah,
gets back to
exactly.
what
That's
the fans
only
of the
reason I
original
really think why
series want to
people love
see.
it so much.
Right.
Yeah. They went to Star Wars in the first one. So then they went back to what the original series was in this one, and that's why everybody thinks that this is a great fucking movie.
Right. That's how
That's
you
all.
manage expectations.
Yeah.
You come out weak and then you just bring it back up to maybe halfway and then everyone likes it.
They couldn't have gotten worse.
We got a final question from Jeff before we wrap things up here today. His question is, if the Wrath of Khan was a Vashel hockey team, Which one would it be? Well, it's an interesting existential question.
Wow.
Vash will be in our Kevin Smith a hockey league that we
Well, it can't be the Mallrats because
Well,
that would be.
I could tell you who. I could tell you Con
Well,
played. What
it's
team
not,
Con
it's not
would
the
play
fourth
on.
worst movie.
what Jody, do you have
Sorry, Mike.
Mike.
I say I can tell you which team Con would play on for sure. The Bulgarians.
He would play on the Bulgarians. They're the superior race, right? Or whatever. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that the Wrath of Khan. I don't know, Jeff. I don't know how to rank that. It's not exactly apples to oranges.
Who's normally third in this league?
Third.
We are.
Yeah.
Zombies.
Oh, well then
Usually
you'd
the
be
zombies.
zombies.
It's usually the
For
zombies. Well, Jeff says it is the
It
Bulgarians.
wouldn't be fourth because then it'd be the Mallrats.
He says the Bulgarians are. So very good.
Great. That was riveting.
I know.
All your
Okay.
other questions were great, Jeff. That would snap.
That one was bad. You need to lay off the edibles
Okay.
Or do more. I don't know.
or more. Currently, the value you have, not the right value.
You better come up with a question quick. You don't go out like that. Okay.
Time to up that.
All right. Let's see what he,
Yeah, there better be another question coming up.
all right. Let's see what he comes back with. But I think we've kind of said what we need to say about this film. I'm excited for Searcher Spock next week. Anything else going on with you in this movie? Anything else you want to say, or
I'm just gonna say it's a good movie. I'm gonna stand by it.
Mhm.
Yep.
I want
Final word.
I want to thank our panel.
Not a good movie.
I want to thank our panel. Mike, thank you for joining us today. This was great. Kevin and Jody, of course, and Jane, all here. Jeff, thanks for being active. Thank you, Salty. And thanks, everyone. Thanks for watching, listening today, commenting, and getting involved. Make sure to subscribe to our Facebook page. We also have a YouTube channel. You can use that. And we have an audio feed through Anchor, which is a podcasting platform. So you can use that to subscribe to the podcast on Apple or whatever, Apple Podcasts or whatever you get your podcasts. Make sure to I'm on Twitter. I'm Super Dave Mater on Twitter. Does anybody else want to call out their Twitter or social media?
I'm not a tweeter.
I don't use my Twitter, but I'm that Jody.
At that
I don't
Jody.
do any of that. So no.
So no.
See, I would have thought you would have had like old balls or something.
No, nothing.
Oh man.
And make sure to check out the content on another channel that I'm on, Super Mater Brothers Podcasting. We cover TV and movies that are not Star Trek related. We're currently in the middle of covering Westworld Season 3 and Survivor Season 40, Winners at War. We also just dropped a podcast for Tiger King, Murder, Mayhem, and Madness last week, which was a documentary series that came
Which I think got the most amount of.
Yeah.
You got a lot of.
We got a
I
lot.
actually got people on my friends list messaging me going, "I saw your Tiger King thing."
Yeah, I think Sunday
I'm
nights
like,
are
really? I barely talk.
a good time maybe to podcast and live stream because I think people are.
We got a new Tiger King coming tomorrow,
Yeah.
Sunday.
So we might have a Tiger King Part 2.
Is that the TMZ one or is that the Netflix one?
I think it's coming on Netflix. I could be wrong. All I've seen is I think Netflix.
Because I know there was supposed to be a behind the scenes TMZ one.
No, I think this is a new Netflix, but we'll see.
It's like another episode.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well, I guess
I'll watch it because I got nothing else better to do.
Mhm. I guess Jeff didn't have a better question. He just right at the end,
He's probably ate a bunch of edibles.
And he's like, "What if
Now he's passed out
What?
on his desk.
what if Vashel teams were like Star Trek movies?"
It
Too
would
good.
be Star Trek 4.
It would be I would be Star Trek 4 because I'd be.
The Mallrats wouldn't be Star Trek 4. That's the second best movie.
We'll catch you next week for Star Trek 3: The Search for Spock, which is Kevin's favorite Star Trek film, I think.
Oh, hold on. There's a question now.
Okay.
Oh.
One more question. Let's see if we can. Who would you cast as Joe Exotic? I would cast Michael Keaton.
This has nothing to do with this podcast, you
I
pothead.
think I'm the only one that hasn't watched Tiger show.
You're not really missing much.
I heard it was going to be David Spade. That's who I heard was like the most likely.
David Spade would be good.
David Spade or Brad Pitt. Whoever thought they would be going for the same role. That they are. All right, everybody. Make sure to stay safe, stay at home right now. Keep coming back for more. Until next time, I'm Dave Mater.
Jane Mater.
Kevin Millard, I guess.
This is where he doesn't direct anybody. And we're all like, is it us next?
Next. I didn't have to direct you. Mike.
Hello.
That is Mike. And I am salty.
And it's salty.
Salty.
Apparently.
Live long and podcast, and
Not that salty.
life. Bye, everybody.
Bye.